Welcome to the Idaho Business Podcast, the only Idaho podcast focused on providing profits for Idaho people. If you love our state and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Idaho Business Podcast with your friend, host, and all-around great guy and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Idaho Business Podcast. I want to make sure my microphone was on and we were rolling and rocking and rolling. All right, well, as always, we're sponsored by New Clean Commercial Cleaning, my business. If we can help you and your janitorial needs from Twin Falls all the way to Rexburg, we are your solution, maybe. And I say that because, listen, we run our company off of 4 core values of be honest, have fun, make money, and work together. And if we feel like we share those values with you and we feel like we're going to be a good match together, that's what we're looking for. Obviously, we're not allergic to money, and we want to have we want to have more business coming in our way. But the big thing is we want to have a good match and a good relationship that we can partner with someone that we can have a good relationship going forward. So if you're listening to this and you are enjoying the podcast and you're saying, you know what, I've heard this over and over again, call us up 208-254-7070 and say, hey, I heard about you guys on the podcast. I'm going to give you a try. I want to claim the free deal that you're going to give me, which is, it is flu season. So give us a holler and say, you heard about us on the podcast, and we will give you a free sterilization spray of your entire office, no matter how big it is. Completely free of charge, no strings attached. So there it is. Today, guys and gals, I was thinking about the small things. And it's the small things that can really slow up a business and stall out a business. I've been reorganizing my business a little bit, and I've been talking to my buddies who have also been doing some similar things with their businesses. And you can have processes, you can have systems in place, but if they're not being ran by the people you've been trusted to run them, it's not going to help. So, you might have a system in place to do this service or to make this thing happen internally or externally inside your business. But if one person is skipping just one step, you might think, hey, it's not that big of a deal if you're just skipping one step. How much could go wrong with just one step being skipped? Well, let me tell you. Let's go back to an airliner. I don't know why I give a lot of analogies with airplanes and airliners and all that fun stuff. I know with systems in place, we talk about pilots when an engine catches on fire, they don't just run up and down the cockpit screaming and panicking. No, they have systems. They pull out their checklist and say, okay, step 1. And I don't know the systems. Obviously, I'm not a pilot. I would imagine you want to cut fuel to the engine. Step 2, turn off the engine. I don't know. There's steps to extinguish this problem and to safely land this plane. So, for example, if you're flying this one of these long chartered planes, you're going a long distance, and maybe you bump the autopilot just a degree. And instead of going, and it's set for the autopilot for your destination, but it gets bumped just a degree, 1 degree. That 1 degree can put you over that long distance, thousands of miles away from your final destination. And that's exactly what can happen with a business. And I've experienced some of that with some of the stuff we're dealing with, just by some small things not being accomplished. They're not, from the surface, they don't seem like big things. And even by some team members, from the surface looking inward, they might think, oh, why is that such a big deal? Why? So what if this, is like this and that didn't get replaced? If this broken thing didn't get replaced in a minute. So what if they have to go over here and and grab a key over here instead of having it at this location where it's conveniently located. You know, they're still accomplishing the same thing, right? I guess, but one way, you know, it's adding more time, more labor, more exhaustion to employees, more stress, and there's things like that that can put strain on your company. If you don't have systems being ran right, it can put stress on your employees thinking, and your employees can think just by one small thing being off. Your employees can start thinking, "Gosh, what the heck's wrong with this company? They can't get this small thing right. What else are they doing wrong?" You know. So it's all starts with the small stuff. If you can't get the small stuff right, you know, you're going to lose, you know, potentially good employees that you want to stay a part of your company. We know retaining good quality people right now is tough, and if they're seeing this kind of stuff, they're darting for the doors. And man, and we've been in a good cleaning house mode lately of just finding things like that are just obvious, and finding things that just can put your company back on the map of just like this is an obvious move. Let's fix this. Let's replace that. Let's make sure this is happening, because sometimes when you're an owner and you trust your team, and you kind of put yourself on autopilot thinking, hey, they've got it, which is what you want to do. You want to empower these people to make these decisions to run your company. Because if you're not doing that and you're micromanaging, then you just own your job again. Then you have to be there to make everything work. And then again, you're a slave to your business, and you're really not a business owner. You just own your job. And that's not fun. And in many ways, the employees that work for you have it better than you, because they don't have to worry about the light bills. They don't have to worry about the mortgage. They don't have to worry about in the business. They don't have to worry about the payroll, all that kind of stuff that you have to. And you have to be there all day long to make sure everything happens if you own your job. So I'm not saying don't trust your people. You have to trust your people. You have to empower your people to make the right decisions. But I am saying there's got to be some checks and balances. You know, you got to make sure, hey, do some reviews with your people. You know, not just with your, you know, with lower staff, but with your management. Obviously, you got to make sure that they're still living by your core values, and have those core value discussions with them. And don't let it get too far. If you start seeing some small things slip, nip that in the butt. This is the stuff that takes your company from a B to an A, or an A back down to a C. And that things can slip real quick, and things can get back up to where you want them to be real quick too. But you have to hire and train the right people. And if you don't train them, you know, and you're thinking, well, I don't want to train them because they're just going to leave so fast anyways. You know, that's on you, because you're not going to, if you don't train them, what happens if they stay? You know, and what happens, but then I know the famous quote is, you know, if I train them and then they leave, you know, great. Or if you don't train them and they stay, then, you know, it's a double-edged sword. So obviously just keep training. Your training costs may be going up during this year and throughout the COVID years. I think that's everyone nationwide. And that can be fixed somewhat with your core values in place. And if you don't have your core values in place, bro, or gals, I don't know what to tell you. But then you have to live by your core values, and then you have to live and you have to run your processes and systems by your core values. Because if you're not, and you're missing it, and you just turned it by a degree, and those small things are being missed, everything's been ran by kind of in a halfway, and you're not accomplishing what you want to accomplish. So you can run an owner absentee business. But you have to have these things in place, and you have to make sure you have the right people in place. If you don't have the right people, they can make your life a living hell. So I hope you guys get the gist of that today. Hopefully you can understand, hey, I know having systems in place is key. I don't want to micromanage. That's huge. Because if you're the micromanage and you are always finding yourself having to be there and getting asked all these simple, different questions every single day, and you've been asked this question every week since the beginning of time, it's annoying. Why isn't there a system in place to make sure that's something that doesn't have to happen anymore? Let's continue forward. Let's get those systems put in place. Let's get some checks and balances. Make sure people are living by the core values, and then you will see things start to thrive. I'm starting to see a big turnaround. I'm starting to see the morale, everything else going upward because of just the little things. So that is the key for today and for the week, is do the little things. What little things aren't happening inside your business that you put in there, you put in place for a reason. Obviously, you put them in place for a reason because they're important to you. So go through your systems again and find what the things that aren't getting done, and realize and get clear on why they're not getting done, and start thin slicing like we've talked about many times, and make sure the small stuff's getting done. And if you find small stuff that maybe are repetitive and maybe don't need to get done, maybe things have changed, do away with it, clean up things, and streamline things. But you'll see things get better. But I think that's crucial. So anyways, go out there, stay away from the negative Nancy's, go out there and dominate your week, stay positive. No matter what happens, no matter what you have come up against, you got this. You've been through a lot of bad things in your life, a lot of bad things in your business. You're still here. You've got anything that's coming up against you. So keep pushing forward, keep going after it. You got it. We'll see you all next week. Adios.
Congratulations on spending a couple of minutes getting a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Idaho business community. If you're feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.